Hi everybody, I am Dr. Jodi Green here. I am at Green Life Chiropractic located in Decatur at 2418 Decatur, Alabama. So we're going to talk about a variety of things for our workshop today, but the number one thing I want you to keep in mind is that we want to function better and then we'll feel better. So let's talk about ways to get that going, okay? So first off, we're going to be talking about your nervous system, okay? Look at all of these organs right here. These are all the nerves that come out and go to all these organs. So my job as a chiropractor is to make your spine and your body function as best it can, and we do that by taking pressure off those nerves. Well, if we take pressure off those nerves, then those nerves that go to your organs are going to function much better. So how do we do that? We start with, when you come in our office, we start with an exam, consultation, and x-rays, because when we see what's happening inside the body, then we know what we need to do. So the way I like to talk to my patients is think about a chiropractor as though I'm like your orthodontist for your teeth. I'm going to straighten your spine though, instead of your teeth. Another way is that I'm like your gym membership and your trainer, except instead of lifting weights and running, I'm here to coach your spine to go in the right directions. So when I talk about going in the right directions, what do I talk about? A lot of times our daily habits affect us, and it makes us have poor posture, or it can make us have a variety of different side effects, such as headaches. We can have different things even come up because these nerves put pressure that goes to different organs. So for instance, acid reflux, heartburn, we can have digestive issues, we can have so many different things, sciatica, which is a common one, all because these bones are misaligned in the improper way. So for example, if we sit with our right leg crossed every single day, multiple times a day, if this right leg is crossing over here, what happens? Okay, well, our head doesn't tilt to the side. No, it doesn't. What does it do? Our head comes back and it compensates. So guess what? We get a curve in our spine. Well, yes, that one day doesn't affect us that much, but if we continue to cross this right leg and we continue to move our hip over to the side every day, our head and everything is going to have to continue to pull back, causing a lot more stress on the spine. So what happens when we talk about the spine? These are our vertebrae, and this is our jelly disc in between. This is the cushion between each bone. We need to preserve that. So then what happens as our daily habits start to affect us? So our spine, we don't sit crooked, we bring our head back over. So then in the middle of our back, a lot of times what happens is people get what's called scoliosis, which is a curvature in your spine. When we get scoliosis, it begins to push on different organs because we have a curve. So then, okay, if our heart is changing the way that it has to beat because the pressure on the nerves are going that direction, what we can do as chiropractors is try to align the spine so then our heart doesn't have the pressure on the nerves that go to it. There's a whole variety of different side effects and symptoms that people come in with, and what's happening is these discs are getting narrowed and these nerves coming out from the vertebra can't function 100%. So it's my job to take the pressure off of these nerves, which in turn a lot of people get out of what we feel is pain. But the one thing about pain that I really want everybody to remember is that pain is like a check engine light in our car. So it's not a bad thing, it's really a good thing because our body is expressing itself to us. It's saying, hey, something's wrong and I need to be fixed. For example, there's a whole variety of why we get headaches. Is it because we may need new glasses? Is it because we have too much pressure on the back of our neck because of our posture, because we walk around with our head forward. So what do we need to do? Do we need to bring our head back? Well, guess what? We have a variety of therapies that we do here. And one of them being, it's going to change the way that our neck is curved. So ideally, when we see a curvature in our neck, we want to be a nice round curve like this one over here, like number 5. What happens over time is that we start to go down this direction. And what happens, that's why we start with x-rays. What happens is, okay, let's talk about carrying a backpack or carrying a purse. Well, our shoulder is going to lift up carrying that purse. Well, or a backpack pulls us back, so we're going to put our head forward. Same with, let's say we're playing cards or reading a book. Our head is going to go to that direction. So then what happens? Our neck straightens forward. Well, we need to have proper curves. So we want to have this back so that our ear is over our shoulder. This then takes pressure off of our muscles into our shoulder. So maybe you're getting headaches because we're not even realizing how much more forward our neck is when it doesn't have to be. So for this, we have a variety of therapies. We're going to naturally bring that curve back so that we can get you to your optimal curve. Okay? So what do we also say? Okay, when we get adjusted, a body in motion stays in motion, right? So we've got to keep moving because all these joints in between the spine, all those bones, they need lubrication to keep functioning. And when lubrication comes in, that's the adjustment to align it. It's hydration. So that's my job, and that's how I figure out, okay, let's find where the misalignments are in your spine and let's correct them so that way everything functions better. Another thing that we focus on here is also joint pain, because what happens is even our hands, as we age, they've been overworked for so long. So I have a couple different things back here. These are our supplements. I'll talk about those in a moment. But we have some special cream that was developed for joint pain. It has great, it doesn't smell or anything like that, but it has great success on our patients that have muscle stiffness and tightness. And what happens is it hydrates those joints, and it has some different formulas to get us going. So I really recommend that a lot of people that suffer from things like that put it on morning and night and have had great results. Another thing we do in our office right over here, we sell Standard Process, that's the brand of it, different supplements, because what happens in our lifetime, we slowly don't have as much in our body that we were born with, right? So for example, collagen for our skin elasticity, it helps our bones, it helps our joints. We don't produce the same kind of hormones or chemicals in our body to help flush things out. So we can do some comprehensive exams, and this is going to be a survey you, the patient, would just fill out. It's a way to look at what you might be deficient in, because it's statistically proven that back when we were growing up, let's say, we were growing up, or when food was first mainly being put into grocery stores, let's even say 50 to 80 years ago, our food doesn't grow with the same amount of nutrients today as it did back then. So for example, one orange, we need to eat 4 to 5 oranges to get what we used to be able to get back then. So let's find out what you're deficient in and figure out how to use the right supplements to make us feel better and function better. Another thing I want you guys to keep in mind is our gut health, all this right here. We have so much gut health going on because our digestive tract comes down and basically winds back and forth, okay? Well, our biggest thing is our brain that controls our body, right? Well, what happens if our second brain, which is your gut, isn't functioning 100%? our basic fuel system can't get the right nutrients here if our body's misaligned. For example, if my right hip is way up because I cross that leg every single day, guess what's happening? It's shortening the digestive part and compiling it on that right side. So what's happening? So let's get that right hip down and adjust it so that your pelvis is at even, and then the food can digest properly. Well, then if we do that in turn, guess what? Then the middle of our spine, where we have scoliosis typically, will be straightened out as well, which again lets our digestive tract function properly. So you got to think about your body as, for instance, needing fuel and food as our fuel to make our brain function the best it can. So that's also part of my job, is to make sure that everything can go up and down and communicate throughout the body the right way. Another thing I'm going to be talking about is things like fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is tender points, and they're typically pinpoint, and the average person has about 18 to 22 tender points on them. It's just with fibromyalgia, they're much more aware of it, and it's increased. There's a lot more to it, but that's the main gist. What happens is if our spine is misaligned and it's putting pressure on different muscles, and some muscles are tighter and some muscles are having to overstretch because we're having a curve in the spine, for instance like this, what we do is when we adjust the spine, those muscles are able to relax and work the right way that they were naturally meant to work. So overall, as a whole, we're here to make you function as best as we can, because when you function as best as you can, you want to be more active, and being active is what keeps us youthful. So again, like I said, a body in motion stays in motion. But overall, some of the other things that we really focus on here is what's called a decompression table. We have a decompression table that stretches the spine and it makes it elongated. So if you were to lay on your back, it would stretch you and be around this area to make sure that we stay with proper hydration and we create more room in between each of these bones. Because if we don't have enough room between each of those bones, then we can't have that proper disc right there. So what also happens is that typical word sciatica, where unfortunately there's a nerve compressed in that lower back area. This opens up some space so that way the body has the room it needs for the parts that are in that area. So any questions I will be glad to answer. You can always reach me at 256-822-2007, and we'd be glad to meet you and answer any personal questions. Other than that, I say goodbye and have a wonderful day, and thank you for giving me your time.